continue with Carlos Lopes from the Energy Agency to give us a little bit more about how to raise public awareness, how to use those test results on the website, etc., to really engage with people. So please, Carlos.
Thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Carlos Lopes. I work for the Energy Agency, mostly with products, and I work with many products, with all products that are related to energy, but the one with most energy savings potential is this kind of products. It's heat pumps, so it's a pleasure to be here. Most of the things that I had actually that I wanted to say have already been said.
It's already been said. That is
but
repetition.
yes, I'll try to speak about another perspective. Is we have heard that how the wonder of the Swedish situation. We've reached dramatic results when it comes to CO2 emissions, to fossil-free heating, and also in the number of heat pumps that are installed. But I will try to answer the subtitle of this conference is if Sweden is a model that can be replicable in other situations, because actually if we want to have a huge deployment in the European Union of heat pumps, I think that is the question that we have to analyze. So we know that heat pumps will have a crucial role in speeding up the heating transition. You could see, I think that this one was also presented. We've reached good results. We managed to add an enormous amount of heat pumps without increasing the electricity consumption in the last 40 years. This one was also shown. Bengt said it had the last one, the last data.
The fifth one.
But I have the last data.
Oh,
the last data, I think. So I claim to have the last ones. And I must actually thank the Svenska Kyl-och-värmepumsförening, because I got them yesterday, and it's for the first quarter, and it shows that actually it's increasing much more because after the pandemics there were some problems in delivering the heat pumps. I got also the expectation, the expected growth, 5% per year in Sweden, and of course it will be much more in other member states. So now about the factors for the development of heat pumps in Sweden. So I'll try to always have a comment on if this is replicable in other contexts. So first, the context. When everything started, we had a very good electricity infrastructure, oversized, but now you heard our minister, she said that we have to double the capacity. So that means that this oversizing maybe will not last in the coming years. Although it's more complex than that, but it's not that good. So this is a problem that is very important in other countries which have not sized the electricity network for providing electricity for heating, because there was a gas network. For example, in the Netherlands, the gas network capacity, it's 10 times bigger than the electricity network, and they have to invest. So the story is not totally replicable here. They need to invest. Cheap electricity, we had a very low ratio electricity price against gas price or oil price. But this, you can influence it. And in Sweden, we influenced that ratio by imposing a very high tax on heating oil. So this is something that is highly replicable. When it comes to research and development programs, I think that Caroline has already mentioned quite a lot. I would like to give an example, actually, that is related to heat pumps. It's technology procurement. This is a policy instrument that is really Swedish. And I remember one of the first contacts that I had with Sweden was within the IEA implementing agreement, which is now called Technology Collaboration Platform of the IEA. We had a technology procurement on tumble dryers with heat pumps. This was really a novelty. And there was one manufacturer that won that contest. This was 96, something like that. 1 month ago, we voted on eco-design requirements for banning every tumble dryer that doesn't have a heat pump. This shows exactly what we want to have. We have research and development. We have an innovation procurement that brings the first product. And after some years, so we had the label showing how much better a tumble dryer with a heat pump is compared to the other ones. And then we are ready to make it the only product that can be placed on the market. It's what we want to have also for other products. Taxes and incentives, so economic instruments. I already spoke about the energy and called the CO2 tax, which actually was, Sweden was the first country in the world to implement. Maybe Finland. Sometimes when I say that, there is somebody from Finland that said maybe it's us and so on. But, well, maybe it's the case. When it comes to incentives, actually, they have been very limited in Sweden compared to what happens in other countries. And today, almost all member states are preparing and they are already in place. In France, in the UK, in Ireland, you can receive lots of money, especially addressing affordability. And that, I think, that it will be needed. So I was about to say that we have very little incentives. Now there's a tax credit only for the installation work. But you heard our minister. She said that we're going to have 1 billion Swedish crowns. It's 100 million euros for this. So let's see what happens. Performance requirements and labeling through the Eco-Design Directive and the allergy labeling. This is European-wide. So this is already replicated. By the way, when it comes to R&D programs, so other member states cannot replicate what has already been done, but there is so much to do. Now we are speaking very much about heat pumps for detached houses and so on. But the heat pumps will have a very, very important role also in providing heat and high temperature heat in industry processes, for example, or low temperature in district heating networks. Also district heating, I hope that we will have much less waste to incinerate for producing heat in the district heating, because if we go for a circular economy, then we will not have so much packaging. There are also specific legislation on packaging, for example. And it's the same with biomass. If we want a bioeconomy, then there are much better use of biomass. We saw it yesterday in the fantastic building that we use then this biomass in a much more efficient way. We store it so that we can earn some 100 years without emissions. If we burn it, then these emissions are they are out. And they are gone. So all these things, I think, they are replicable and they should be enhanced. So this is something that other countries can do as well. Other factors, the skilled and efficient installers at competitive prices. I think that it's quite impressive how fast it goes in Sweden to install a ground source heat pump, for example. I have some friends in Portugal and France and so on. They, oh, well, you know about heat pumps, how can I do, and so on. It's very complicated. No, they have to, well, it's really, they are never happy with my ideas because they don't get it done. And it's very expensive and so on. I think that the Swedish industrials have managed to make things efficient, maybe not with the highest efficiency, but they are affordable and they function and it goes fast. And that's very good. And also we have, it seems that there is not so many problems I remember some evaluations in the UK where what products that function very well were not functioning because of different problems with installers and so on. And the schemes that we had were actually mostly industry-driven. So is this replicable? Well, I don't think that we should rely only on the industry, as Bengt said before. I think that here the heat pump accelerator and the action plan from the EU, but also member states have to provide lots of funding. We need to accelerate this. Of course, the state has to do it as well and put public money. Consumer trust, it was also mentioned. Last time I was at your event, I remember the Netherlands representative from the Netherlands was very, very impressed by this idea of a board for consumer disputes. So, of course, this technology had also its problems. It was a new technology, people were not trusting, and should I invest so much money? And of course, there were problems in the infancy of this technology. So that's why it was so important to have this board for consumer disputes of heat pumps, which the trade organizations took and remove it from the National Board for Consumer Disputes. Maybe, Martin, you can explain more the details of this. It was before my time, but I know that this is a very innovative approach, and it may be needed in some countries because they can, of course, even a good product can be badly sized, badly installed, badly commissioned. This was the industry-driven part, but the public part. We, at the agency, the Swedish Energy Agency, and before that also the Consumer Agency, we organized tests, mainly at RISE, comparative tests. You can see some of the pictures. Also tests on site. This was actually putting pressure on manufacturers, and Caroline was speaking about that. It cleansed the market also from less serious actors. So this was very important at that time. I think that we don't need it that much because now we have the eco-design requirements and we have the energy labeling with comparable information, reliable information. But we need the trained municipal. But we have also used the municipal energy advisors. They exist in every municipality in Sweden, almost, and we are responsible for their training. And of course, we have a module on heat pumps so that they can give counseling to people contacting them. So most of this is replicable, and some things do not need to be replicated. Now, about a policy instrument that the Commission has chosen to be the big instrument to accelerate this transition. It's the Eco-Design Directive, so it's a regulation on heat pumps, which exists and started to apply in 2015. Now we have been reviewing this for some years, and now it's time for the big step. And the big step is a ban on standalone fossil fuel boilers already by 2029. This is a working document. It's not yet the proposal, and it's possible that some member states will say, no, this is too harsh and so on. But the process is ongoing now, and that's the most important. If it's through the EPBD, in order to provide more granularity for addressing specific situations, it's also acceptable. The thing is that it's now going on. For that, there is a new space heating category, which is the hybrid. You have a picture here showing that you have a heat pump part that will deliver most of the energy of the kilowatt hours, but when it's cold, when the power demand is too high and the electricity network cannot deliver it, then you have the boiler, the gas boiler that kicks in. This is new, quite new. They are appearing, but it's a transitional solution. So there are other elements. We will not increase the requirements in order to guarantee affordability, especially for the south of Europe, because of course it's not that economic to invest in a too high efficient heat pump if it costs too much. We will introduce also third-party conformity assessment. This will guarantee a better quality and a better compliance with the efficiency that is declared. And we will also introduce requirements on self-monitoring and reporting on the performance of the product. And that will guarantee that the intended performance will continue to happen during the use of the heat pump. If something happens, that we will be able to identify and to repair it. Another thing that will be introduced is resource efficiency requirements, that spare parts will be available under a certain time, and this will prolong the life. This will be complemented by information that is comparable, that is reliable, and that will tell to the consumer what is the best product, and will provide the basis for the consumer be able to take the decision in dialogue with the installer, as Bengt was saying. Here, the consumer will see how much the heat pump will be more efficient if I go for larger emitters, low temperature emitters, compared to if I don't do it. So this is a very important basis for this purchasing decision process. That was all for me.
And also the direction is very clear here, you know, that it gets tougher and tougher to be on that list.
Yes,
that's
well,
good.
Today
that's what we want.
We have the gas boilers in A class.
Yeah.
Of course, we never like that. It's very bad, but that's why now we are revising it. It goes back to A to G, and the gas boilers will be on the top.
Yeah.
The heat pumps will have four classes in order to differentiate themselves, and this provides also an important information. But there are different layers of information in this system. So if you if you want to go to more detail on the efficiency of the heat pumps, you will have this information, and this information will be also available on the product database, because there is the database called EPREL, with an obligation of registering every product in that database, and anybody can actually search on that database and compare the different products.
As long as it's super clear that if I have a new heat pump and my neighbor has an old one, and he comes and says, "Oh, but I have a double star 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 and you don't," you know. No, I don't have such a neighbor, of course. But it's always a challenge when you change. I mean, we are quite simple-minded people. We look for colors, you know, and we look for ABC. So this will be a challenge to reach out. But it's a good one. And let's discuss this and more issues.